Hi, my name is Alex Dolphin and welcome back to another episode of Ex Ante. Today we're going to discuss the case of Cordas versus Peerless Transportation Company. This case was heard in the New York Court of Appeals, year of 1941. Let's go ahead and jump into the facts, which, as the justice says, are bizarre. The facts are very bizarre. They place an ordinary man, a cab driver, in very extraordinary circumstances. So envision yourself in New York, down perhaps a back alley, and you're by yourself and you get robbed by two men. Well, these two men rob you and you see them go away. You realize maybe they're not that big of a threat, so you start to chase them. So you start to chase them down the alleyway. You're like, give me my stuff back. I want all my stuff back. Well, when those thieves get chased, they hop into a cab. And this is where our conflict begins to take place. So this thief is chased by the person who he stole from. And to try and get away, he hops into a cab. The cab driver didn't say, hey, come on in. The guy just opens the door, gets in, holds a gun to the head of the cab driver and says, hey, you drive or I'm gonna blow your brains out. Pretty graphic and explicit. So he starts to drive. The cab driver is driving along and the cab driver is obviously freaked out. You can only imagine how you would be if you were a cab driver in this scenario. This cab driver, driving, chucks his emergency brake on, opens his door, hops out of the car, kind of like a Tom Cruise type of thing. Well, the car doesn't completely stop. It continues going straight forward and it hits Cordas and her children. So Cordas is the plaintiff in this case, and Cordas is bringing suit against the cab company under Respondent Superior. So the court has to grapple with, was the cab driver negligent when he acted the way he did? It obviously wasn't intentional, but was it a negligent act of his? So the court grapples with this. They say that, of course, he would have to act as a reasonably prudent man would in all the circumstances, and did this cab driver do so? Court ultimately comes on the side of Peerless Transportation Company and the cab driver, and they say that because this was a sudden emergency that was created by no doing of the cab driver's own, he's permitted to do something to get out of that and not have liability for it. Acting underneath sudden emergency, he has a defense against Cordas, as does the cab company against Cordas for their injuries. So it's a sad case. The facts are very extraordinary, crazy case, something you might think you'd only see in a movie, but happens in real life, and tort law touches it. So let's just jump into some ex ante implications. The first is that this does develop the sudden emergency defense. So the sudden emergency defense says that if something happens, it's not of your own doing, you didn't participate in it at all, and you need to do something as a reaction to get out of it or to avoid even a greater injury or emergency, then you're permitted to do that and you won't be held negligent for it. And so that's how the cab driver fits in to the envelope of sudden emergency here in this case. I think that it definitely does not feel just to the Cordas family to not have any type of recovery for this. Even though it's not from the cab driver or the cab company, maybe they could have sued the criminal who held the gun to the cab driver's head. The issue is they're probably not going to get any money from that person. And that person's likely in jail anyway. So that's why they tried to go after the pocket with the money, the company, but it didn't prevail because there was nothing really wrong that the cab driver did. He acted as a reasonably an ordinary, prudent person underneath all the circumstances. The circumstances made him act a little bit different. We wouldn't say that someone throwing an emergency brake and hopping out of a moving car, if there wasn't someone with a gun to your head, is a normal thing to do. I mean, he certainly would have been held negligent, but because there was that circumstance that he did nothing to create, he's able to claim sudden emergency as a defense, and as is the cab company. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.